Is it all worth it? No? Well, once upon a time, another time to the time that we've just heard about, some men came to Jesus and they asked him if it was right to pay taxes to Caesar. Well, Jesus said, "Show me a coin." So they showed him a coin. I don't expect it was a 50p piece, but that's what we've got here today. And they said, "Whose face is on the coin?" That's what Jesus said to them. And so they replied, we'd have replied Queen Elizabeth, wouldn't we? They replied, "Caesar." Because even in those days, they used to have the face of the emperor or the king or queen on their coins. They said, "Well, it shows Caesar's face." So he said, "Give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." It was a clever answer, wasn't it? But these things about what to do with our money, if we have any, are not always easy, especially when the landlord or the mortgage company and the insurance and the utilities and the loan payments and the car bills, as well as the shopping and all the other bits and pieces, they all mount up, don't they? I wanted to mention, just at this point this morning, that locally here there are people who are highly trained as personal budget coaches. And if anybody is interested in finding out more about that, please see me afterwards. There are often as well courses on how to manage your money run at one of our other local churches, and I could put you in touch with that as well. Some people manage by perhaps having several jobs, part-time jobs. Some people today are managing by selling on their clothes and their toys, especially the children's clothes as they grow out of them, and any unwanted gifts, they sell them on eBay or any other way they can at car boot sales and so on to make ends meet. Perhaps some people are doing it to actually make more and more, focusing always on their next holiday, on the bigger house, on the newest gadgets, on the latest car, or the up-to-date clothes. You see, we can become like the farmer in Jesus' story. We might be happy to start with a small barn. On our next slide. Nice little barn there on the prairie. But somehow or other, we get a bit dissatisfied and wanting to keep all the produce and wealth for ourselves. We want a bigger barn. And then perhaps an even bigger barn. Never satisfied with what we have. So, is it all worth it? Our next screen shows people's love of cars, whether it's cars or land or money or power. We love these things, don't we? And we chase after them, like as if we were on the so-called rat race. Always chasing the clock, always watching the deadlines. Surely sometimes, and once a year on Christian Aid Week is as good as any time, we should stop ourselves and ask, is it all worth it? You see, those nice big barns have a habit of falling into disrepair. Next slide. Jesus said, perhaps it wasn't all worth it, because not only might that happen, but the man might have huge wealth and then die. So the barns fall into disrepair and people die. And at another time he said, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, but lose his soul?" In the passage that we're reading today, Jesus said, "Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." And a very old writer, as it were, King Solomon, in the book of Ecclesiastes, wrote, "Better one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind." In other words, we need to learn to be content with what we have. And there is that to it, isn't there? To be content in life. That helps us to live life in all its fullness, not to always be chasing after the wind. So in Christian Aid Week, we have a reminder to stop in our busy, busy lives and ask, is it all worth it? Is it worth the stress? Is it worth the long working hours, which mean we spend too little time with the children and with our families? We must all beware of becoming foolishly addicted to consumerism and greed, because we can't take it with us. Now we're going to bow our heads in a word of prayer, a prayer of confession. Let us